Welcome to the very first episode of Renaissance Broads. Welcome. My name is Laura. I am one of your hosts of this magical show. With me, I have the amazing Carolyn. Hello. Hello. This is really great. We had myself, Michael. Michael had kind of pitched this idea to me several weeks ago. In fact, over a month ago. And he was like, you need a show. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what exactly that entailed. I knew he had a concept in mind, but he was not sharing that concept with me. So it was kind of like on me to kind of make it happen. And I had no ideas until we were in Raleigh one evening. The producer's fired. We were in Raleigh one evening doing a ghost tour. And it just so happens you are a tour guide.
Yeah, and you met me. And I do definitely manage to, I'm kind of like a barnacle, I find, in a lot of people's lives. I like, if I find somebody that I'm just like, now that would be a super fun activity, I attach myself like a hard kind of crusty crustacean, really, and just go along for the ride. Where I'm like, oh, we're doing a podcast? Yeah, I'm gonna do that too. So
I did not mean to find that as funny.
It's just kind of like the pockety, kind of crusty. I'm old, and so we just kind of I'm like, ooh, pretty. So I'm gonna attach myself to this ship because I want to do a podcast, and no one else will play. So when you guys said, hey, we should do a podcast, I said, yeah, that was my plan all along. I was just waiting for the right ship. I was just waiting for the right ship to come through.
For the right
for me
whale.
To and yeah.
For the right clam.
Yeah, exactly. For me to make into the pearl. That's quite the analogy, really.
That was...
Are we too loud, Michael?
No, I need her to slide over because she keeps getting in your shot.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
We knew this.
Yeah, and I'm like all official with like all my stuff here.
Okay, good. Mark that time so we can edit that out.
Yeah, you just like to get all handsy and like bob your head and stuff.
I do. I'm sorry.
Nothing wrong with that.
So that's the barnacle
and
analogy.
You like my barnacle analogy.
Is literally the best thing I've heard all day.
That's what I'm here for.
When I was considering this show.
That's what she said.
And what I wanted it to be, probably the hardest part was like the pressure of like choosing a co-host. Like, who is this person going to be? Who is someone that is different enough from me that we sustain like conversation, but someone similar enough to me that we sustain conversation?
No, that makes sense.
So I really thought, it was your knowledge and, for lack of a better term, your theatrics that attracted me to you. So that was it. It was like, this one is a performer. This is someone who clearly knows how to tell a story, and that was very attractive to me. And that said, we kind of like auditioned you. I low-key auditioned you when we had you on the Hammered podcast.
For reals. Mm-hmm.
What episode was that?
Wasn't it like 2 episodes ago for y'all?
It was not just ghosting around. Help us out here, producer.
I think that was episode 74 or 73, one of them two, which was probably 3 episodes of Hammer ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, friends, do your research. Just look for the most recent episode of Hammered and like scroll back 3 episodes. So we had you on, and I just love how knowledgeable you are and how eloquent you are. And literally that night in this studio, I'm like, I found my co-host.
Aren't you sweet?
Thank you for making my job easy.
Well, tell us about yourself, Laura. So, like, we've got an intro, for people who maybe haven't listened to other things before.
And I am so sorry to those people who
I have
found
no problem
this to be
talking about myself, but, I know not everybody, is as narcissistic as I am. So that's...
Oh, that's fun. We'll dive into that on a later episode. So, I am 32. I consider myself like a career woman. I don't have kids. I had a husband once, and like that was fun for like 2 years until it wasn't. And now it's really just like my career, the podcasts, all of them that the Naughty Donkey Studios produces, and just having fun. And that's really kind of what I'm focused on now, because I kind of had like an epiphany recently where my entire 20s was devoted to my job, my career, getting to next, like climbing the ladder. And I feel like I've kind of reached the top of that proverbial ladder where like I've given too much of myself to corporate America. Now I want to have fun, and obviously I got to make money, but there's so much more to life than me just earning the paycheck. So that's where I'm at now.
Yeah, you're at that crossroads we were talking about, that this is discovery.
I'm like, I know the crossroads is a great place, but it's also like a very
scary
place. Very heavy place. Like, no shit. I had like a full-on meltdown like an hour before you got here. I hope you can't tell. But like full-on existential crisis mode at 32. And I'm hard on myself, full-on earth sign. And I know you can relate to this, where I'm like, I'm 32. I'm too young to be having existential crises. However, here I am. So, I had that moment today.
No.
So
this is when you're exactly supposed to have your existential crisis.
Ooh. Is
at 30. Unfortunately, at 30, and I know Michael can attest to this, you still have a bag of fucks. You still have fucks to give. And it unfortunately, it's just what happens in your 30s. And it's not until a little bit later in life when you've given all your fucks away and you have no more fucks to give.
I really,
and you need to
feel like
you got to get to that point where you just don't have any more fucks.
I feel like they're gone. Poor Michael, while I'm having this full-on meltdown, is like, you just got to keep pushing. It's okay. And I'm like, I have no more pushes. Like, I'm done pushing. It's literally the last fuck has flown. The last push has been shoved. I don't have it in me anymore to keep trying for this.
Yeah. So let's make a podcast.
So here we are. And then Carolyn magically showed up at the front door.
Ding. I'm like Galinda.
She really is.
The good witch.
The good witch.
I even have the boobs. All right.
I love this.
That's a wicked reference.
Tell me about you and your boobs.
So we are definitely different and the same, for reals.
When you said we, I thought you were talking about you and your boobs.
No, well, I can. I haven't referred to them in the royal we in a very long time, probably since they were photographed at Mardi Gras in 1994. So, as the royal we goes, because I was lucky enough to grow up without the internet, where there is no evidence of my shenanigans. So, really, luck would have it.
Having been alive, if not exposed to the internet in 1994, I feel like your boobs are somewhere, Carolyn, and I'm going to find them.
Perhaps.
It is now my life mission.
They were on a bulletin board at the Sigma Tau Alpha House at Southern Illinois University for quite some time, but that's another story for another day.
Those are some great tits.
They were legendary. But anyhow, so, yeah, I'm Carolyn. I am a Midwestern native, unlike my Southern friends here. I am from Chicago, Illinois, and I will be 49 in, what is today's date?
Today's the 6th.
I will be 49 in 21 days. So
But who's counting?
who's counting? Right. Full on Capricorn, so I have to maintain control, like the earth sign that I am, right?
What I love is our mutual earth signage here.
Totally. Oh, and a little, like, not to, like, completely shift focus, but talk to one of my witchy friends and totally wants to come on and do, like, a full chart reading and maybe, like, a tarot
Okay.
kind of situation, and we can talk about, like, all of the charts and stuff, because I don't know enough about that, and this is the Renaissance Broads, and we're trying to learn some things.
More.
I
We
need-
want to know more.
I need to learn, because, like, what does it mean to have the fact that, like, Libra is in my Venus? I don't know what that means.
I can loosely tell you what that means. What I do want is, I guess, a little more in-depth explanation. So I know the big three: your sun, your moon, your rising.
I know those two.
Right? Because those are like the important ones. I also know my Venus because that's important to me, my Scorpio Venus, and like it makes so much sense. And my Libra Mercury.
I'm a Scorpio Venus too. Look at that.
We're so compatible.
Oh my God.
Love that.
All right.
So yes, we will definitely dig into
Yeah,
that.
I know a lot of that stuff, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what it means.
We know a lot of
So
that
we're gonna.
stuff,
I think that's gonna be a future episode. We can talk about that.
but we don't know enough, and
For
that's
reals.
what this is about. Is like having a basic kind of baseline understanding of things, but wanting more.
Yeah, wanting more.
I want more.
All right. I love that.
Thank you.
So, anyway, I am married, unlike Laura. So I've been married for 22 years to the same dude. His name is Patrick. And like I've told you guys before, he's okay. You know, I think when you've been married for as long as I have, he's a good dude, actually. I love him. He's wonderful. I shouldn't, because he's going to be listening to this and he's going to be like, I'm okay. I'm like, yeah, you know what? He's the okayest husband there was.
I mean, okay enough to be married to for
Yes.
22 years.
And I am the okayest wife. I mean, that is like that. I think that's what we're all striving for. So we have 3 sons. They are 12, 15, and 18. And the 18-year-old's about to be 19. He's right around the corner. They are jackasses. They are brilliant. They are funny. They are wonderful. I
Don't be rude.
want to punch them in the throat and give them a hug all at the same time. I am definitely a boy mom. It scared me when I was younger. I had my first son at 30. So at your age, I had a 2-year-old, and that's it. And I only grew up with a sister, so I in a very kind of girly, non-sports house, and I didn't know what that was going to be like, and now I can't imagine anything else. I have one very, very sporty kid, and the others I have forced into the arts. So the others, like I have like a million children. There are only 3. The others, you know, there are 3. But yeah, so I have always kind of known I wanted to be somewhere in the arts. I majored in musical theater and communications in college, and I was a professional actress. And I have discovered my fuck basket has been empty since 1999. And so I don't care, you know. But I have found that to make me happy and to make my brain work, I have to have like lots of little things happening in my life. So I have 8 jobs.
This is something we did touch on the Hammered episode we had you on, multi-potentialism.
Yes, multi-potentialite. That I just like, I fought it for a long, long time because I was like, I honestly thought there was something wrong with me. That like I couldn't like hold down a job. And like looking at my mom who has been a teacher, she's retired now, but like who was a teacher forever. My sister is a Chicago police officer and has been on this like solid, like one linear career track. And even my husband, who has been just kind of like Mr. Career, Mr. Job, Mr. Company. And I have never been like that. And I didn't know what was that about me, that I was like, there were just too many things that I was interested in. And there were too many things that I wanted to do. And I get bored really easily. So maybe a little ADD. Probably, because I grew up in the 80s before that was like a thing, before they could like give me the Vocalin that I probably needed in high school.
Before there was an actual diagnosis.
Yeah, for sure. So it was just like, I just kind of love that bouncing around, and people tell me all the time, like, when do you sleep and when do you blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but I do all of these little things just for like a few hours a day, and it keeps me engaged and it keeps me focused and it keeps me excited. So I have 8 jobs. One of them you guys met me on. I do tours of downtown Raleigh, and I write for a travel blog, and I teach for the Durham Literacy Center, and I teach GED and HiSET classes, and I run a theater company, and I babysit for 2 little girls throughout the day, and I have a jewelry business. And so, but it, like, all of these little things.
Was that all 8? I was trying to count, but then
count.
I lost count.
Yeah, so the jewelry business and my theater company and the Durham Literacy Center and ViewBuff, which is the travel blog, and the travel thing. And so that's just the 5. What am I forgetting?
The tour.
Yeah, and the tours. And then I'm a mom.
Which is a full-time job in and of itself.
Totally count as a job. And I teach other theater classes. So a lot of it is education and arts based, and I'm a notary. I do.
That's right.
Yeah, so I'm a notary signing agent. I just started with that. So, and it's just, I find things that I'm interested in, and I just kind of, for a long time, I fought against that, and I was like, no, you have to have like the career. And I was in a classroom for a long time, for 15 years. I was only teaching, and I felt a little dead inside. And I was like, I have to do some other things. And so I've always had.
Would you say
lots of different things
you
going
were
on.
About 32 when you realized I feel dead inside?
Yeah. I honestly, that's why I'm just like, this is the time for your
Interesting.
existential crisis. I had a baby.
Interesting.
When I was 32, I was still acting full time, and I had just finished. I was teaching. I had a baby. And I was like, I can't do this. I was overwhelmed. I was unhappy. And I had to make a complete life shift into what I wanted to be when I grew up. And that has happened several times since then. And 30s, I think, are definitely a time of discovery. I was drunk through my 20s, I think, as most of us were. And so I wasn't on that. It was until my 30s when I really started to kind of look inward as to like who I was and what I wanted. And it wasn't until I was 40 until I really started to figure that out.
So, I hate that for me. That's really scary, honestly. So, thank you for that. But no, for probably like a full year now, I've kind of been in that spot where I thought I knew what I wanted, and I've been at that for a full year now, and I goddamn fucking hate it. And I fantasize every single day about running headfirst into a brick wall, or like jumping off a bridge, or driving into a tree instead of going to work. So that's kind of where I'm at currently. And I feel like, everyone who's ever been alive and held a job anywhere has had that job where they would rather do, any of those terrible things instead of show up to work. But
my last teaching job, I would have rather have gone out and like killed a bunch of puppies. I avoided it like all the time. I used so many sick days.
I am in the hole with PTO. Like,
Yeah.
you can, with my company, you can borrow a certain amount of PTO. I am just about capped at that borrowed PTO. So I can't quit until I don't owe the company money anymore.
So what you need to do is find some other little things to do that give you that sense of fulfillment and then do the job to like make the money until you can find something else. That's the solution.
And I have that. I've definitely like mapped that out in my head. But then there are just days like today where I'm like, I would rather give the company back 30 hours of my money than continue working here another day.
No, that sucks.
It does. It really does. But in terms of finding those little things that make sense, that give my heart joy and happiness, it's you.
Oh my gosh.
And us,
Yes, this is going to be so fun.
the Renaissance Broads. So our direction, and honestly, you were the person to kind of give this show direction, and it made sense. It was to truly embrace what it means to be a Renaissance person. For people who don't
polymath.
know that, yes. For people who are not familiar with the term, the misogynistic term Renaissance man, it's to describe an individual who has a lot of talents, a lot of interests, who is well versed in many, many different aspects, and well educated in kind of everything, a jack of all trades, if you will.
And I love the term polymath because I think that doesn't have that kind of misogynistic undertone. So poly is Greek for many. And math is Greek for subjects. So a polymath, which is many subjects. Or the one that I told you the last time, a multipotentialite.
We kind of do it all. And if we haven't done
And
it...
I don't think a jack of all trades definitely has kind of a negative connotation. And I don't think it has to have that. I think that, that because that's not, I read the most wonderful thing the other day that was like that phrase of like, the jack of all trades but a master of none, that's not the entire quote. So the jack of all trades but a master of none shall only be, oh my God, now I can't remember it. So like, but it was like basically like, but you should have all of these experiences and all of these things that you're interested in and see the world and go do the things and experience it all. But like, it's almost like a sad life to just be sitting doing just the one thing that you're good at and go and explore and do and see it and live and learn it and all of that stuff. That like maybe it was okay the fact that I had 2 college majors and 2 minors because I couldn't make up my mind.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I changed my major 3 times and then dropped out because I felt like if I can't decide on the one thing, there's no point in me being here. But that's a crisis for another time, ladies and gents. So that is the long and the short of it, the foundation of our show. We kind of want to do it all. If we haven't done it already, we're willing to try it. Asterisk.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We talked about this, that there are some things that I am unwilling to do.
And, I think that goes for everyone. But if
Yes.
something slides across our proverbial desk, that's...
The list is short for me. I will honestly do just about anything. It's a very, very short list.
And we both agreed we're not jumping out of anyone's airplane.
No, I hate heights. Absolutely not.
Yep.
There's no bungee jumping or skydiving or any of that nonsense. Or
No.
rappelling or...
Repelling,
I will watch you from the bottom of the rock. In my younger days, when I had better hips, I maybe would rappel with the right equipment, but no, I'm done. My rappelling days are over.
I feel like my repelling days are yet to begin.
Sure.
So if
Again, I'll be there. I'll make a sign. I'll be there with pom-poms. Go, Laura, rappel down that mountain. Get it, girl. I am there, but I will not do that myself.
fair, I'm amenable to that. Now again, so we'll just have to see what kind of crosses our proverbial desk here.
And I know that there are some things that I have brought up a couple times that you've looked at me like,
oh, like what? Uh-oh.
well, like, some of the probably more of the crafting kind of stuff that I know I keep bringing up the glass blowing, and you've definitely been like, okay, maybe
Blow glass.
we can blow. I am super excited about glass blowing.
It's definitely worth a shot. We're gonna do all kinds of shit here.
We are
So
going to do it all.
it's that's what this is about. Just getting out there, trying some things we otherwise would not have tried.
Yes, and one, fixing the existential crisis. And then
welcome to that journey, kids.
the other is I'm at the point I think am definitely facing that bucket list of like, I have got some stuff to do before it gets to a point in my life where maybe I can't do it.
Are we Eat,
anymore.
Pray, Love, but like
We
way
are-
hotter?
We are eat, pray, loving without like the cheating on your husband situation. If you've read the book,
I haven't.
yeah, it was just really all about her justifying her affairs.
Oh my God.
It's not great. It's not great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sad times.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me dig for another.
So I'm all about her like going to if there's somebody that will pay for us to go to India and Indonesia and Italy and try all of these things, I am down.
Yes.
But I'm not gonna have an affair with a hot South African guy or South American guy in Indonesia. Because Pat is the okayest husband, so
He's, at least 22 years okay.
Exactly.
So it can't be that bad. What you got for us?
So I just looked up Eat, Pray, Love, and I need to watch this movie.
I've actually never watched it.
Have you never seen the movie either?
Never seen
All
it.
right, Julia Roberts she's a treasure. I mean, I know I know a lot of people like have opinions about her, but I am a fan, even with her big old horse face.
That's Sarah. That's Sarah Jessica Parker.
Sarah Jessica Parker. I do agree with the producer here.
She has a giant mouth, but she's great in this movie.
Okay, now that I think about it, in Pretty Woman, like all you see is her mouth laughing. That's the whole movie. It's
Just her giant
mouth.
giant mouth. But the book is seriously just about this woman like justifying her many affairs. And like, okay, I don't want to be married anymore, so I'm going to run away from it. And she got a publishing company to pay for her walkabout, which is pretty
So
much
who is her love interest?
Which
Is it James Franco or Javier Bardem?
both.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
that's kind of a odd couple there.
Javier Bardem, I can understand.
Oh my God, yeah, for days. But
James Franco?
James Franco, she hooks up with. She breaks up with her marriage. Who is what's the name? Guy from. He actually had an affair with his wife, and then was with Claire Danes. Billy Crudup plays her husband in the movie. So,
What does he look
Billy
like?
Crudup plays Steven.
Yeah, Billy Crudup is her husband. He is now in the morning show. He is a delight. He's a hottie boobody.
Where's your?
Yeah,
He looks like just a good guy.
He is. So he plays her husband, but he has some mental instability. But so does Julia Roberts' character.
Don't we all?
Don't we all? And so she breaks up with him, and then she goes out with James Franco, and then she decides she's going to eat, pray, love, and she goes to Italy to learn Italian and to eat, and then she goes to India and she stays at an ashram, and where she meets I forget the actor's name, an older gentleman. But she meets him and learns kind of like to pray and like spiritual stuff. And then she goes to Indonesia
And falls in love.
and falls in love with Javier.
Okay.
Where she gets like, they focus like a good 20 minutes of the movie on the fact that she gets like UTI after UTI. And I'm like, gross. Seriously? Because she just like has so much sex.
Yeah, I guess
that
that's what happens
she gets
when...
just like a stream of UTIs. Yeah. It's a whole lot. But I've read the book and I've seen the movie, and it is just a justification for like, I had all of these affairs and cheated on my husband, so I'm going to write a book about it and make me look like a good person. She like starts a foundation and stuff, and to like help out some people in Indonesia, but it's really just about like, please don't look at me like this bad
I'm
person.
a horrible fucking person.
Because I'm a terrible wife or I'm a terrible person. And it justifies her affairs. But she does some cool stuff.
You
while she's there.
know,
We're like off on a major tangent right now. But could we eat, pray, love? I mean, is that we would need to get some sponsorships.
but what a great
Because again,
tangent.
I am all about like, let's go to Italy and eat pizza and learn Italian. Like, down. Like,
Yes.
I will eat gelato all day, every day. I'm down.
However,
However,
no cheating will be done.
no, and also I have 3 children, and my husband travels Monday through Friday for work. He's in
So
Boston
we-
right now.
yeah, we
so I
gotta-
kind of can't go anywhere right
come
now.
home to the kids.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
I think that's super cool. What I
Oh.
love is the dichotomy in where we are in our lives, and what I love about that are the different perspectives of the experiences that we will hereforth ensue together. What a great word, right? Love that. Cheers.
I'm out of wine. Should we
Sis.
take a break so I can get more?
We just started.
We did.
Like 12 minutes in.
It was a very short pour.
What I want to get into now is our very first adventure together.
For sure.
We had the idea to try out a Himalayan salt cave. And pretty much this came to my attention a very long time ago when I was an Earthbound trading company and I bought a Himalayan salt lamp. The thing is literally like 50 pounds. Like, I have to lift with my knees to pick this thing up. And in the pamphlet in the box of my Himalayan salt lamp was like all these great things that can happen when you have a block of salt in your life. Carolyn, you did some really like insightful research on this. Like, why is this a good thing to have?
So you know the teacher in me. I had to go about and find, I found a bunch of fun facts about salt caves. And I came into the salt cave when Laura brought this up. This is, I think, a lot of our ideas that we're going to be doing week to week. Sometimes it's things that Laura's interested in. Sometimes it's things that I'm interested in. Sometimes it's things we're both interested in. This was 100% Laura. I had actually never heard of salt caves until she said, hey, what do you think about going to a salt cave? And like most barnacles attached to the side of a boat, I'm like, yes, please. I am down. It's not jumping out of an airplane? Yes.
Right.
I'm down with that. So I did do a lot of research on salt caves, but I came in to it with zero expectations. I had no idea what the health benefits were. You just said, hey, do you want to go to a salt cave? And I said, sure.
Right. This doesn't sound painful.
I'm down with that.
Or like, I'll leave my children without a mother.
Exactly. I looked up because I am a rule follower, I looked up what we were supposed to do. And I'm like, okay, clean white socks. And we go sit in the cave. And I didn't want to do any research ahead of time so that I could come in with an open mind going like, okay, how do I feel in the beginning of this experience compared to how I feel at the end of the experience? And I didn't do any of the research until post-cave, if you will.
I did very minimal research. I think my research was mostly like, here is, again, very like baseline. I think mine was just like, you will feel like you've spent a day at the beach after just a few minutes in the salt cave. And that's what appealed to me the most because I'm such a beach person. And I so love that feeling, that almost like sticky sensation in your
I agree,
hair and on your
100%.
skin. Just having been in that salty atmosphere.
Yeah, the beach is my happy place too. I agree.
For sure. So you must be a water moon also.
I'm a Libra.
Libra moon?
Libra moon and Libra ascending Capricorn sun.
Very interesting.
But I do love the beach. It's my favorite place.
very difficult to comprehend.
I don't know what to tell you because I don't know what any of that means.
That aside, that's okay. We'll get to that on another show.
It's another show.
That aside, so I knew I grew up at the beach, but kind of, I guess, like the folklore, what my grandmother told me and what her grandmother told her. When you immerse your body in salt water, it heals wounds faster, almost like antibiotic properties. You just feel better. But ultimately, I didn't know why. Like, what is the science behind the healing properties of a salty
Did you notice any
environment?
difference with having that salt lamp in your house?
I'm going to say not really. In terms of aesthetics. Now, that said, I haven't done any like before and after. I'm just a silly white girl going into Earthbound and Earthbound telling me what I need in my space.
Sure.
But it's aesthetically very calming.
Sure.
So it's a warm, kind of reddish. It's a glow. It's not like a light, which I think is great overall in terms of my circadian rhythm. So come home, late at night, wash my face, turn off the lights in my apartment, but I turn on my salt lamp, and it's the perfect in between daylight and night that helps my body kind of wind down. So I love that for those purposes. In terms of like the little leaflet that's in that was in the box of the salt lamps that I bought, I don't think I got much else. But we're also talking, I'm thinking like square capita of like salt lamp versus my 800 square foot apartment. So maybe if
You'd have to have like 10.
800
Yeah, I was gonna say you'd have to have a room full of salt
blocks. Now, the salt cave we went into was made up of hundreds.
Right, yeah,
of
it was
these
lined.
salt blocks
Yeah.
that
And
were
Michael's
about
got
the size
pictures
and
up.
shape of my salt lamp. So if I just had them stacked up on a wall, I would probably feel a lot differently
Yeah.
when I enter my apartment and wake up in the morning and leave my apartment and then come back. So that's my thought. But being in the cave, immersed in that, and it was on the floor, it was stacked up on the walls, and there was some kind of like stucco on the ceiling. I don't think that was salt.
Yeah, I was staring at the ceiling too. I think it was just plaster, like kind of made to look like stalactites and stuff, like in a cave.
It was aesthetically pleasing.
It was,
for sure.
no,
there
it
was
was-
like
yeah.
some glitter in there. There was like some sheen. It was beautiful, and I think it was a well put together salt cave.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think I was also expecting more of what's on the screen now. More, I guess, like a cave, like when you go into like Luray Caverns, for those of you who are from Virginia. Just like walls of
No, I get that.
just
Yeah,
like
for
one
sure.
solid singular unit of salt block. This was stacks of salt blocks.
So, little fun fact sidebar. My boys and I went to South Dakota this summer. And we went to the Wind Cave National Park. And one of the founders, like this again, like just like reeks of white privilege, but one of the white dudes who found the cave and essentially monetized it and like, brought it to like the other white people. I'm sure the indigenous people they're like, bitch, we knew about this cave for like 1,000 years, whatever.
Our ancestors are buried here.
Totally. But you know what I'm saying. So this guy, Alvin, found this cave, and one of them was like a salt cave, and like started talking about some of the healing properties of this cave, and looks exactly like my 15-year-old son. And I have all of these, I should have brought it. So I have all of these pictures of Cooper standing next to pictures of this Alvin guy at like the visitor center. and they're like, it's his doppelganger
Is
from the
he
1500s.
Alvin's incarnate?
That I'm guessing that because Alvin died, he was only like 21. And he
sad.
died from tuberculosis because he spent all his time in the cave, like exploring these caves and stuff. And they're still discovering like pieces of string and like markings and stuff from this kid who spent his entire teenage years in these caves studying, marking, getting things ready for tours and stuff. And so they have all of these pictures of him as a teenager. And I made Cooper stand next to them when we were at the visitor center at Wind Cave. And then I, like, of course, posted on Facebook and Instagram. I'm just like, and here is, you know, my 15-year-old's 17th century doppelganger. Super creepy. But Alvin, this kid, discovered that there was a lot of, like, health benefits.
What were some of the specific health
So,
benefits?
and and we'll talk about that. My little, this is another fun fact. So we'll, this is what I want to do for every show, is like have my little fun facts of, love a fun fact. So, salt therapy, also known as halotherapy, it was discovered by the ancient Greeks, like way back when. And so Hippocrates, which, yes, because he was a hypocrite, but Hippocrates, the ancient Greek philosopher, recommended thousands and thousands of years ago to inhale salt to help with respiratory conditions. So way back when, thousands of years ago, they would like huff salt. Like you'd put it in your hand and inhale it like people do now with essential oils and stuff to help with probably pneumonia, asthma, any of these respiratory issues that people are having thousands of years ago. So thousands of years go by, and then halotherapy was kind of rediscovered by a man, and I got to look at my notes, Dr. Felix Bazakowski. So in 1839, he discovered in Poland that there were all of these different miners, so the people working in salt mines, people working in copper mines, people working in coal mines, and the guys working in the salt mines did not have any of the health concerns that the people working in the coal mines, in the copper mines, in the silver mines, and like all of the other mines, they were coming out with all of these horrible diseases and breathing problems, and they were dying early. But the salt mine guys, beautiful glowing skin, no respiratory issues. And Dr. Felix was like, I bet.
Let's look into that. So why are the salt mine guys living it up and nothing is wrong with them? So he discovered that these miners working in these salt caves, they did not have any of the respiratory issues. None of them had asthma. They weren't dying early. So he founded the Walenkaka. That's a terrible name. Yeah. Can I see that?
Yeah, so Walenkaka, it's a Polish name. Right there. Walenkaka? Doesn't that look like that? It looks like whale caca.
Wheelie caca?
Probably like Wilkaka, like
Wilkaka?
something Polish. Yeah. So, and I'm sorry, I'm dragging all this across the table. It's making these awful noises. So
W-I-E.
So Wiellicaka resort in Poland. And it was these natural salt mines that then they used to help with respiratory and with skin problems. So people were coming from all over Europe to these natural salt mines to essentially heal these different health problems. So then some other German doctors got in on this. And now all over Eastern Europe, they still have these salt mine, like restorative resorts. And these are still running today. And this one was started in 1839. So today's salt caves are usually in spas because there are very, very few natural salt caves. And a lot of them are in Eastern Europe. So there's some in Germany, and there's some in the Czech Republic, and there's some in Poland and different places. So instead now what we have is halotherapy, where salt is pumped into the air. So the cave that we were in uses halotherapy. I looked it up.
Okay.
So not only do they have the Himalayan salt, like in the large chunks crushed all over the floor, and the stacks of the salt blocks up and down the walls, they're pumping in salt air
Okay.
into the room. And then, so our cave, like I said, had large chunks of salt on the floor. Walls were lined with large chunks of salt, and they're getting this pumped in air, and that's what the water was for in there too.
Oh, because it was kind of like churning it.
To kind of like add the humidity
Yes.
and add all of the things to help us add the salt into us. So there are no naturally occurring salt resorts in this area.
That makes sense.
But I have inadvertently been to one, didn't even realize it. So I've been to Hot Springs in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And I went and sat with my friend Tina, which I sent her an invitation to this. So I'm sure she's going to be listening. And when I was visiting our friends that live in Little Rock, Arkansas, we went to Hot Springs. And Tina said, let's go and like get a massage and sit in the actual hot springs. And that has a natural salt, like the natural salt caves that are underneath the hot springs that are being kind of like pumped up through all of the reservoirs of all of the hot springs in Arkansas. And that was an amazing experience. We were actually in this spa that had been around since like the early 1900s. Didn't have air conditioning, didn't have anything, and we got massages and stuff and got to like sit in these little rooms with all of the minerals and all of the stuff from the hot springs and stuff. And it's just like there's just like these fountains and stuff everywhere all over the town. It's fascinating. It's like stepping back in time with like all of like kind of like 18th century health and wellness and stuff, but it was super cool. But yeah, so it's basically salt has been used to treat respiratory issues since probably about 3,000 years ago.
So I'm thinking about just like the Mediterranean region in general and how like perfect sense that makes with it being a very like salt dense like oceanic part of the earth. Plus the line.
And I think in that part of the earth, I think they get their salt from the ocean and from seaweed.
Directly from, because it's a very like fish heavy diet.
Yeah.
And again, the wine. So we're like breathing in this beautiful Mediterranean salty ocean air, drinking this beautiful like vineyard grown wine, this olive oil pressed like on site. Like this is the recipe for living till the end of time.
Yeah, for real.
And longevity, I think, is at its highest in Italy, particularly. I think Sardinia is where the oldest person lives.
I saw a documentary about them, and they did a whole like longevity study about them.
It makes perfect sense. So I think for sure all these great, very natural resources plus just that very salt dense atmosphere, that makes absolute perfect sense to me in terms of longevity and health and wellness in the Mediterranean.
Well, how did you feel going into the salt cave versus coming out of the salt cave?
Going in, I felt very normal. You know, it was a day off, so I had the pleasure of kind of sleeping in a little bit. That said, I also might have been like a wee bit hungover because that's what you do when you're off the next day. Overall, very like normal. I think I would say I was moderately rested. I felt, pretty much from day to day, like fine. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, probably about a 6, which is not bad. Going in, I think I didn't have a ton of, just like you, I wasn't like expecting anything particular. I think I wanted to feel like how I felt after spending a day at the beach. And that's kind of hard to articulate in terms of the kind of rejuvenation that comes with spending a day at the beach.
It's almost like a combination of being tired and like fulfilled at the same time.
Yes.
That's how I
like,
feel at the beach. Like that windblown kind of like
Yes.
exhausted, but at the same time like so
Renewed.
Mhm.
Yes.
No, I get that too.
So, and that's kind of, I would say,
People who don't live that salt life doesn't make any sense to me.
and I'm so sad for any of your friends and family in the Midwest who are listening to this that have never been to like a beach. Like, please do it. In fact, weirdly, recently I was talking to an old coworker of mine, and she had made a joke about, oh, still haven't seen the beach yet. And I'm like, sis, like, we have
no
over
doubt.
300 miles of perfect, pristine coastline. You pick the mile stretch you want to visit, and I will take you there.
No doubt.
And we're so blessed here in the Carolinas like that. But, you know, I was thinking I would feel the same as I do after a day at the beach. But we were in this cave for 45 minutes. So I think kind of condensing that whole day of kind of the energy getting zapped out of you while also kind of like being pumped back into you in a very like rejuvenating way. I think it happened, but not to the extent of like spending 8 hours on the beach. So I was playing with the salt that was on the floor because I like the feeling. My fingernails feel tougher or like more reinforced or harder or stronger after a day at the beach.
Oh, that's interesting.
I can't explain it. So at the beach, I love putting my hands in the ocean water because I love the way my fingernails feel stronger in the salt water. So that's what I was doing when I was playing with the salt in the cave, was like, I want my fingernails to feel stronger playing with this. And they did. They really did. So my hands, I feel like in that respect, felt like I was playing at the beach all day. I would also like to take this time to shamelessly plug the Renaissance Broads Instagram page,
No
which is
doubt.
brand fucking new.
And I need to post those pictures on the broad page.
I was either going to steal them from you and post them, or
I'll
you to post them.
I'll post it. I'll make a reel of it. So
Who has time for this?
I don't know, but I did an Alexis one today. It's pretty funny. Okay,
was
so
it a little bit Alexis?
no, but that will be coming. But no, this was.
Can
just
I do
like,
it with you?
You totally can. La la.
I've
la,
got
la,
the
la,
choreography
la, la.
down.
A little bit Alexis. You look like her. I'm sure you've been told that you look like Annie Murphy.
Weirdly, I had not
Because
watched
I do not.
Schitt's Creek. So weirdly, many, many, many years ago, I had a friend tell me, "You're Alexis from Schitt's Creek," and I'm like, "Okay," and I didn't think anything of it.
Have you not seen the show?
I'll get there.
Oh, okay.
So this is like a process. I had not watched Schitt's Creek until I had like 3 very close friends of mine tell
Say
me
that you look like Annie
how
Murphy?
much
You
they
do.
reminded me. I reminded them of.
You look a lot like her.
Right.
She is your spirit animal, 100%.
So finally,
This is just
I
like
watched this,
spinning and spinning and spinning.
and I'm like, "Oh my God, who has been following me?"
She's great, isn't she?
Which is like weird for me to say, because like I am her.
Yeah.
But also, like, I so deeply resonate with David, too. So I feel like such a strange combination of all of these Schitt's Creek characters.
Yeah, and I'm really more in the lee of an authentic berg with the peachness of the wine.
I've been
David, we've been texting you and your bag.
Ew. David.
You gotta put your hands up like this. David.
But what's so weird?
David.
Okay, that's the thing.
I was saving that yogurt for after my run, David.
Saving that yogurt for after my run.
David.
That was kind of like the
just
weirdest thing.
spinning.
Was the hands thing. I'm
that you do
so handsy in my conversation, and I'm watching her, and she's doing this thing, and I'm like, "What the fuck, bitch? That's my move."
You know what this is signifying? Have you ever read any of her things? So she said she was doing it after Kardashians because they were always holding a purse, a little clutch. So she was like, I just always imagine it that somebody like a socialite holding a purse, but there is no purse. So she said that it's always just like somebody walking around holding a clutch.
Okay, but I don't know who me as a person like adopted that from.
That's really funny.
It was actually like very bizarre, and I had.
Did you get that, Michael? I just sent it to you, but it like spun for a long time, and then it.
Oh, just came through.
Oh, good. Okay. La 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 la.
So yes, I love Schitt's Creek, and I asked our producer if that's something that we could binge together after the holidays, because it's Christmas movie time.
It's delightful.
But no, Michael, you're gonna watch Schitt's Creek, and you're gonna be like, "Oh my god, I'm dating Alexis."
Okay, well, for those that are listening, you're not going to be able to see this wonder, but if you are watching on the Naughty Donkey Productions YouTube channel, you can see a picture right here of Miss Laura May in the salt cave. Relaxing.
They were like, "Wear loose-fitting clothing," and I'm like, "I don't own that."
And I did. See, because again, I understood the assignment to quote the TikTok. And I am such a rule follower that, I showed up, I'm like, here are my white socks. I wore the loose clothing. Because I'm such a Capricorn. I know that about myself. That I'm like, but it said in the rules that we were supposed to do the thing. And
What I want to know is like where you found the rules, because I had scoured the
Because I
website
looked it up
looking
online.
for the rules. There was nothing on the website, the specific spa that we had gone to. I thought
and you know that I have information about that spa as well.
that I had read everything that I needed to.
So I just went to their website. Excuse me. And looked up the Salt Cave experience. And it said, wear loose-fitting clothing, wear white socks, and make sure you drink water beforehand. So that one that I was telling you about, that was in Cary, they offer, which I would totally be willing,
Oh yeah, we'll go again.
to go again. This place, this joint, offers, you sit in the chairs like we did, but they give you a weighted blanket, and you have a lavender face mask, and you drink all of this cucumber and lavender and oil infused water before you go in. And then you come out of the salt cave, and then they have all of these fruits that go with the salt that you eat afterwards to help kind of enhance your experience. And it was $10 more.
This sounds like a very romantic date, Carolyn.
It really does.
I kind of can't wait. BB.
Oh my God. That's
BB.
hysterical. It sounds like a romantic date.
But no, really it
Yeah,
does.
no, it does. It does.
Now, for those who are listening who totally want to give this a shot, there are Groupons out there.
For sure.
Even if you're not in the Raleigh specific market,
So we went to Skin Spa.
Skin Sense.
Skin Sense.
Yep.
Thank you. Skin Sense off of Falls and Neuse in Raleigh. There is also a salt cave in Durham. Mm-hmm. There is a salt cave in Cary. Mm-hmm. And I noticed there were salt caves
Charlotte,
even
and
further
Asheville,
out,
yes.
Several of them. But I did find out that our spa, founded in 1991, I'm like, go sis, look at you, have been around for a long time.
Probably the first.
One of the first spas, and so probably one of the older caves, too. And I think you can, I don't want to say tell, but I'm not sure if we were at the higher end.
I guess my question is, does the salt...
Because I don't want to throw them any shade or anything. I'm sorry. I'm like,
Because I
sending
think
out pictures.
overall it was like a very good experience. I think it was a great spa. Booking was kind of a pain in the ass. Like we highly recommend calling to reserve your slot in the spa.
Yes.
Other than that, I guess my question is, like, do we replace the salt blocks every decade or so? Like,
Yeah, you got to wonder, because it doesn't say how old the actual salt cave is. Like, have they been doing this salt cave situation since 1991? Like, since I was a senior in high school, and I am old AF.
or since I was approximately 1.
Exactly. Since I am, how much older? Oh my God, I'm so old.
It's fine. It's fine. It's totally fine.
I'm like, oh my God. It's like, all right. And I'm getting sidetracked again. There is this delightful, like, TikTok, Instagram reel going around with this girl, and she's in a little mini skirt, and she's like, oh my God. And look, it's shorts. That's a skirt. And she pulls, and it's a skirt. And this old queen, and God love him, he's like, oh my God, do you not know what a skirt is? Am I so old that, oh my God, I'm so old. And I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. So I am, girl, not knowing what a skirt is, old. And that, yeah. So I was a senior in high school in 1991. That's when I graduated from high school.
So this was fun. I recently took a customer's phone number and I asked her, can we text you at that number? And she says, yeah. What else are you supposed to do? And I'm like,
because sometimes people have home phone numbers that they...
sweetie, have you never received a phone call? Like a call where you touch the answer button and you...
Yeah. And you don't know what a skirt is? And I'm so old that...
It's okay. It's okay. Just drink the wine. We're fine. Yeah. So this salt cave.
So this salt, the spa that we were at has said that they've been using organic and locally sourced products, I mean, basically this entire time. So for like 30 years, which that's pretty cool. It has been under the same ownership this entire time, and they've won a bunch of awards and stuff. So
that's cool.
Good on them.
Yeah.
You know?
That does inspire confidence.
You know, and the place in Cary that has the weighted blankets and like the masks and stuff, the one that I was calling you about, I'm kind of curious about that one.
Sounds like
a
very romantic date.
Of course, because when I brought that up to my husband, he's like, I am not interested in sitting in a zero gravity chair and in a room of salt. And I said, well, Laura will go with me. So
I'll hold your hand too.
Yeah, how about it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
So I would say, on a scale of 1 to 10, would I do it again? Full 10.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, now because this is what my benefits were. So I have rheumatoid arthritis. Mm-hmm. That's my deal. So I have constant inflammation in my hands, in my hips, in my knees, and my ankles, and my feet. And there are lots of things that I wish that my body would do that it doesn't anymore. And that kind of sucks. Like I have to get cortisone shots in my hips so that I can walk and I can run. And it sucks. But I did notice that my hands felt less inflamed being in the salt cave. Now, do I want to sit in a salt cave hours for hours and hours? I would rather go to the beach.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's the same, and you're exactly right. It's the same benefits. Like when I sit at the beach all day, like my hips don't hurt, my ankles don't hurt, my knees don't hurt. All of that inflammation from my RA and from my autoimmune disease goes away. That like, can I convince my family to move to the Outer Banks so that I can just like sit, at Nag's Head,
right,
for the rest of my life? Probably not.
Do
But
it for the health of your mother and
for
wife.
the health, but that is, I did notice that when we left the Salt Cave, I was like, oh, my hands feel really,
That was
really, really good. And we talked
the
about that in the
first
parking
thing
lot.
you said. Yes.
Where I was like, because my pinky and ring finger, like on both of my hands, are always swollen to the point like where like I have a hard time, of course, if Michael can't see this, I have a hard time like putting my hands like this, like all the way closed all the time. And like sometimes I have a hard time making a fist because my hands are so swollen. And I felt great coming out of that cave. Now, it didn't affect my knees or my ankles or my hips. I just got a cortisone shot 2 weeks ago.
So do you think that maybe another hour or so in kind of that heavily salt environment, do you think it would have made a positive impact on those other areas that maybe you have a little bit more?
And, yeah, I mean, I really, really do. That, like, I think that, like, I don't have any respiratory issues. I don't have asthma. I don't have any, I don't know, if you suffer from all of those things. But so I can't, I can't attest to that affect that. But the inflammation, yes, I felt a difference. But I have been blessed, luckily, that like I don't have any of those respiratory issues.
Good stuff. I have cold weather induced asthma. It's very infrequent. In fact, the last time I had an episode was in Chicago.
Good times.
It was in Aurora.
It's ridiculously
So-
cold there, so I get that.
It truly was. I had done a visit. I was corporate with my parent company, so I was doing store visits in Aurora, which I love. In fact, I love Illinois, I think, all in all. Peoria is home to the Maui Gym Distribution Center.
It is. And Richard Pryor.
Well, that's
There you go.
shit. If we're not packing up and moving to Peoria now.
Really, it is the armpit of America.
But also, like, weirdly, and I feel like I told
Does
you
she
this.
does she even know who Richard Pryor is, though? That's,
Do you
that's
know
the
who Richard
question.
Pryor is? You know who Richard Pryor is. Oh my God, am I so old that you don't know who?
He's someone.
That you don't know.
Okay, no, the name is familiar to me, but can I tell you what movie he's in? No.
Oh, Michael.
I saw a place to jump in and attack, and I
That you
picked my
don't-
spot, and it was correct.
You don't know who Richard Pryor is.
Richard Pryor is probably
He's a stand-up
arguably
comic.
the best comedian ever.
He's a stand-up comic from the 70s and the 80s.
Are you sure he hasn't been in a movie
Stir
that
crazy.
we
He
has.
probably have seen?
With Gene Hackman, and he was in
Oh my
Toy.
God! And you're fired too. Did you just say Gene Hackman?
I did say Gene Hackman, and
Gene
that was
Wilder,
Gene
get
Wilder. I'm sorry, Gene Wilder.
Yikes.
And
I know
he was
who
in,
Gene Wilder is.
He was in The Toy,
Yes.
which, oh my God, that movie is
That sounds dirty.
brilliant. He gets essentially purchased by Jackie Gleason to entertain his child and becomes this kid's toy, and then they end up learning from each other.
I feel like that was a Tyra Banks movie, Life Size Barbie.
Yeah, but this one's actually good.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Gene Wilder, because Blazing Saddles is
Oh, top 10.
perfect movie.
Top 10 of all time. Anything Gene Wilder
Yeah, so
is in for me.
Yeah,
Young
so-
Frankenstein.
Richard Pryor had some drug problems,
I believe that.
and there he is.
Not someone from the 80s.
Yeah.
Get out.
He is the son of a prostitute, was born into a brothel in Peoria, Illinois. There he is.
I know who he is. Like, I've seen
You
him
recognize
in
him,
things.
right?
Yes.
As I'm like, oh my God, am I so old that you don't know Richard Pryor?
No, I know the name. Looking at his face, I'm like, yes, I have seen him before.
Okay.
Could I name, like, something specific he was in? No,
Yeah.
probably not.
The Toy. Stir crazy.
I'll look at the toy. Anyway, we were talking about something important before the producer.
We really were. But yeah, so Peoria, Illinois is
Honestly, some of
the
the
phrase
best.
"it plays in Peoria," which is like it is actually the center of the United States. So back
Like
in
the geographical center?
yeah, and so back in like the vaudeville days, they would bring different acts to Peoria. It was considered to be actual Middle America, and if it played in Peoria, like if it did well in Peoria, Illinois, then they would say that, you know, it would do well in the rest of the country. So like the phrase "it plays in Peoria" is from Peoria, Illinois.
Interesting.
We were there because my husband worked for Caterpillar,
Oh,
Big Yellow,
yes.
and he's an engineer. And so Peoria, the international headquarters of Caterpillar, is in Peoria. It's a little town in the middle of Illinois, surrounded by corn.
My sister.
And Bradley University is there.
Weirdly.
And I have a lot of lovely friends there, and I certainly don't want, because I have a lot of people like who I like love and adore and will go to the ends of the earth for, that still live there. But they'll
So, yeah.
probably say the same thing, that like, you know, it's Peoria.
We're not talking shit
So,
about Peoria.
No. No, I kind of am. So
My sister desperately wanted to move there. Like
to
for
Peoria?
Okay, no,
Not
really.
Not like Peoria, Arizona.
No, really. Peoria, Illinois. My sister was sending me links to houses that were for sale in Peoria.
It's a very old, like, the town was started in like the 1800s, so it does actually have like a lot of like really cool like old Victorian homes from like the 1800s, because it's an old railroad town. So I can see, and you can get a house for like nothing
Yes,
in
and
Peoria.
I think
like
that's
she was like,
what-
look at this like gorgeous 7-bedroom Victorian house for $85,000.
That's exactly what she was doing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
Hannah, that house
It's
is
in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, that aside, it's haunted as fuck,
Yes.
okay?
And Peoria is actually haunted as fuck. But it has what President Roosevelt called one of the most beautiful drives. There is this thing called the Grand View, and there's like, because it's kind of cliffy in middle Illinois, and there's this beautiful like scenic drive where like near the country club where like all of these like pretty old homes are, and it's called Grand View. And like many of my friends that like grew up in Peoria, like, hey, shout out Jen Dawson, and so they were proposed to, and like my friends that like because it's this like beautiful cliffside and these like gorgeous trees and homes and stuff, and it's lovely, but
also
you're in the middle of nowhere, Illinois.
I did have to ask my sister that question, was like, what aside from like
Why?
the very attractive housing market
There's
is
there's Caterpillar, and they have because it's in the middle of nowhere, it is the largest hospital system in Illinois. So there's like 5 hospitals, because
Okay.
it's all of these farming communities from all over the state of Illinois. And where are you gonna go, sis?
not to like downtown Chicago.
You know, yeah, exactly. So like this is where you go, you know, like, and there's like a cancer center. There's a St. Jude's hospital, like a children's cancer center. And I mean, so like it is like a medical, that one of the top nursing colleges in the country. OSF
Cool. Okay.
is there, and the railroad, BNSF, Burlington Northern Santa Fe, and Caterpillar.
I like the railroad. There's one.
Yeah.
And also
And then-
the Maui Gym Distribution
And
Center.
also, and I have several pairs of Maui gyms because I was living in Peoria, so I have.
And you
I
know,
have
what a
Maui
great
gyms.
pair of sunglasses to own, honestly. And
I love my Maui gyms, and I think I have 2 pairs.
just crisp and clean and clear to look through. Honestly, some of the best optics in the market.
And and they're lovely there. Like, shout out to the Maui gyms. Like, you could like actually roll up to the factory, and they'll be like, "Do you want a tour? Do you want like yeah?" It's very Midwestern.
Nice.
They'll like take you like out and around and stuff. It's like right on the outskirts of Peoria. It's kind of fun.
Like the Midwest, easily home to like the straight up nicest people I've ever met.
Yeah, we make a good casserole. It's a good hot dish.
Specifically.
Like a tater tot casserole. That's the kind of thing that you're looking for. And a good.
Very
Now, one thing that I
interesting.
miss, Peoria, Illinois, the pork tenderloin sandwich. They beat a piece of pork until it's like really thin, and it's like seriously the size of a dinner plate, and they put it on a bun that's like too small for it, with like onions and like tomato and lettuce and like a really good sauce, and that's like, I mean, and you can't get a good piece of fried fish.
No, I would
Here.
hope not. Not in the Midwest.
No. You can't get a good piece of fried fish here.
Here in the Carolinas.
No. Like
Where are
not-
you getting fish in the middle of
'cause
scenic
it's-
nowhere?
Because it's like lake fish. This is what I'm like, because it's also a very Catholic area, and so like fish fries for Lent, like around Easter. Like when we moved here, I'm like, where can I get a Friday night fish fry? And that doesn't exist here.
And that's not a thing.
It's not a thing.
Wow,
We're like,
I'm sad
I want
for
like
that.
I want like a piece of like lake trout fried on like a piece, and then you put it on a piece of white bread in a styrofoam clamshell, and the white bread soaks up the grease from, this is such a Midwestern thing. And so you have the lake trout that you fried and you put it on the white bread, and then you have like a side of coleslaw and fries, and that is what you eat during the Lenten season. You know what Lent is.
I know what Lent
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't born, like 4 days ago.
Yeah, being the Irish Catholic. That's
So we got to wrap this up, Carolyn.
we really do, because
So
we have
let's
tangented off into
talk about
as he's like
what?
5 minutes, bitches.
5 minutes. Literally for the last 5 minutes, he's like, "Would y'all shut the fuck up?" So let's talk about
What we're doing next.
our listeners can anticipate up next. I
For
know you sent me a spreadsheet.
I did, because I'm a
Capricorn. So we've got everything from like sugar spinning to glass blowing. We talked about getting a fucking tattoo. Like these are all things that are
making beer,
on.
making wine, making mead, doing different arts and crafts and experiences.
I think we should take a bar class. I was low-key kidding, but I was also gauging your response.
No, totally.
So we'll probably throw a bar class in there. So
yeah, like
this
kind of like
is
high-end cocktailing kind of stuff. Yeah.
bar class. I thought that was like the
Oh, like or like ballet.
yes.
Oh yeah, no, sure. No, I did that. No, because I was on point at 12.
That makes perfect sense with you being the theater major that you are.
And my kid, my youngest son,
does dance.
does dance, and
That's-
so I got
you know what
I
that
got the
is.
dance people.
Okay. Well, it's been over.
And yeah, and we've got, and witch people and makeup stuff and aesthetics.
We
and
have
I want to learn
so
how to
many
recane a
people.
chair.
You want to do what?
I want to learn how to recane a chair.
What is caning
So,
a
like,
chair?
So like, if you look at like old like Chippendale and like chairs from like the 1800s, and they have that kind of like woven straw.
Okay, so like wicker?
Kind of. Yeah, but it's like the actual seat of the chair. I'd like to learn how to redo that. Or maybe even to like make a Windsor chair.
I've reupholstered chairs.
Oh, and reupholstering, that would be kind of
I've
fun
done
too.
that. I've DIY'd that. So anyway, that's what Renaissance Broads is all about. We are going to
Everything
just
from
kind of
home
do
products,
it all.
mathy kind of stuff, sciencey kind of stuff.
Goofy stuff. Stuff we otherwise would not have considered doing or thought it was worth our time. So
And what are we doing for our next episode? Because we got that
What
planned.
are we doing for our next episode? Is that the sugar? The sugar? Yep.
Sugar.
So Carolyn is going to melt some sugar down and pour it on me Well, we danced to
So it's going to
Def
be,
Leppard.
It is going to be. Thank you for knowing what Def Leppard is. Thank you. 19.
That's my favorite. First of all,
Pour
Hysteria.
some
Come on.
sugar on me. Love it. Love it. So I am going to take a class with the like 2 different classes with like the American Test Kitchen, as well as a local class, and learn how to make candy and learn how to do some sugaring things. And then we're going to do it live.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So this sounds like we're going to make a mess in the Naughty Donkey kitchen, which we have not done since Joe Pooha came and did an episode of Hammered with us. So I'm excited
It's going to be good
to
times.
throw some sugar at Carolyn. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to the very, very first episode of Renaissance Broads. We hope you enjoyed it, and please do like and subscribe. We have our Instagram channel up. We are streaming everywhere you get your podcasts. Thank you once again. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you soon.
Toodles.